Welcome to the Craftsman Real Estate Show. It's Will Frazier, and I like the sound of it, so I'm gonna roll with it, and we're gonna make it. All right, here's what we're talking about today. I've had a lot of interactions with people over the years talking about why agents don't send listings, and there's a generational divide here, and I don't actually mean an age-based generational divide. I mean a generation in which you last bought or sold a home, and then how you have paid attention to things over time and how you've interfaced with things over time. Many people who are buying and selling real estate right now today have done so most recently post 2008 or pre 2008 or in a different era. And because technology is progressing faster, it's like exponential. If you were to look at a graph that shows you the total amount of innovation or technological increase in the world, you see, it's linear. It's a little more aggressive than linear. And then now we are in a hyperbolic stage. And that's what a lot of the hyper nerdy talk about, singularity or singularity events are, and Elon Musk kind of going loco in some of his nerdiness. But how this interfaces with almost every part of our life is pretty clear. Like, you go to New York City and you are far more likely to pull out your phone and catch an Ola or an Uber or some other innovative app-based technology than you are to hail a cab and pay double what you would have 10 years ago. And if you're in a new town and you don't know anything about the town, are you gonna stop someone, ask for a map, open it up and learn? No, you're probably going to pull up your phone. You're probably going to open and go to Apple Maps if you for some reason do that, or more likely Google Maps. And you might go to something like Yelp, or you might just pull up Google and search best restaurants downtown Oklahoma City, or best hotel near Phoenix Airport. And you're probably going to hit a blog and a list of top 5 this. And now there are aggregate websites that aggregate top lists. And that's pretty evident when you zoom in on how we make decisions day to day. But many people don't necessarily understand how real estate has evolved over time. So what I want to do today is to briefly walk through the history of real estate, specifically the agent side of real estate. Because if you go back to the mid 1800s or even earlier than that, real property, land, improvements on land, mineral rights, all these things are being sold and they're being traded. But before the second half of the 1800s, that century, you didn't have a nationwide association that had, bylaws, that had agreements and commitments that agents made to be a part of it. But with the founding of the National Association of Realtors, which did have a predecessor by a different name that was doing the same thing before it got swept up into the National Association of Realtors, what you had at that point was now you had a uniform duty that was now understood by all the members of the National Association of Realtors. And in exchange for agreeing to collaborate with the sale of properties, you would also distribute property information. And so you'd go to a broker instead of walking or riding your horse and carriage up every lane of downtown Chicago. Instead of doing that, you'd go to a broker, and the broker would have probably a handwritten list of all of the properties that are available. And then the brokers would have to do a good job of updating one another when something sold. And so you go to the broker for updated information. And because of that, if you were looking to purchase a home, even if it wasn't on the market, you would go to the broker and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I can buy. And that broker would then go to work for you. They would say, okay, let's get it. I'm going to go talk to X, Y, Z, and whatever other brokers out there. I'm going to go talk to these owners, and we're going to discover if there is anything that is sellable that matches that description. So off they go. And it's a very inefficient, by today's standard, way of doing it. But it was technology. It was advanced. It was new, because now you have this trustworthy, licensed individual that can help you buy and sell property. And you wouldn't have to worry about if they had the right or the power or authority to do that job. Thank you, National Association of Realtors. And then that evolved into a book, very much like this. This is actually Birds of America, but it's an old, big book. So I thought it would be a good thing to see. But you'd go and all of the individual listings would be aggregated into a book, and that was called the MLS book. And so brokers were the privileged, trusted vassals of this book, the pundits, if you will. And the brokers, this was the lifeblood of the brokerage business. So you'd come to my office and we would look, and I would say, well, here's one that I think could suit your fancy. You like the sandpiper? And the book, the MLS book, was the lifeblood of the brokerage business. And there was still value add to be done by the brokers after the selection. But the MLS book, because it is it's unified and it's condensed and it's in one place, you come to the book to seek knowledge from the book. So that's the role of the broker. The real estate agent, the real estate broker were pundits of the book, like priests in the Old Testament type temple. This is our Holy Grail. All right. Then that morphed into, with the internet, like everything else, this book had increasing pressure to become accessible by the website. So we started going from a static book to a digital media. So we'd have websites, and those websites got more and more advanced, got more and more synchronized, and you had the MLS cooperative agreement that agents would always cooperate with other agents to effect a sale of a property that's listed with a realtor. That's part of the National Association of Realtors Code of Conduct or Code of Ethics. And so that's led to MLSs, as like we know them today, being regional and being accessible by different people. And so say 10 years ago, you would go to your agent and you would say, hey, Agent Joe, would you sign me up on your MLS search? And Agent Joe would say, yes, Buyer Bob, I would love to do that. Then they would take down your criteria, and now you had the best tech in town. You were going to get from Agent Joe the updated, hot off the press, like newest listing alerts and updates to listings in your inbox every time it's relevant. That's amazing. That was some cool tech. And it was revolutionary because it took you from having to consult the book and the keeper of the book being the one that holds the power. This was revolutionary. When that got opened up and we could go to the internet and access that data, mind-blowing. And then what we've seen since then has been equally astonishing, because when the MLSs went from the book to being online, you, through the agent, had amazing access. But if you wanted to go around the agent, or if you wanted to casually browse and not interact with the agent, it was going to be slow and inefficient and untrustworthy. So that continued to place a high value on the agent. And so what we've seen since then, in the days since the MLS first went online and it has been getting more efficient, is we've seen syncing platforms. So Zillow, for the longest time, was a direct feeder. Well, it's gone on again and off again, because we've had an on again and off again relationship with Zillow on the whole. But in essence, what these syndicator sites have done is allow an agent to put something on the MLS, and that one listing to syndicate or feed out to all these different websites. So now there's, what could you guess? There's 1,000, 5,000 maybe real estate listing websites. Every brokerage has their own listing website. Every agent pays a search engine optimization company to set up an IDX. That's like Internet Listing Data Exchange. It's an IDX, Internet Data Exchange, which is basically how it syncs from our MLS to our website to look like it's our own, website. You've got all these fancy things, and there's a million different ways to access the data. But the most revolutionary, amazing thing for you and for me as an agent is this. Now, today, 2021, and really for the past 5 years, 3 years, we'll say, we have the same access to data. In fact, you could argue you have a little bit better access than I do in a way, because I can check on the MLS, But about 3 seconds after I click and go live on a listing on the MLS, you'll see it on Zillow. About 5 seconds after that, it'll be on Redfin. And about 3 seconds before Zillow, it's on Realtor.com. So you, by accessing Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, are seeing the same listing details, the same photos because they sync directly from the MLS, the same property description and the same overall listing as we do because it's on the MLS. We have access to a few fields that you don't, Realtor remarks. It's common that like lease info, if it's a single family house that's for sale and it's leased, it's common that the realtor would put the lease amount and the terms in the realtor remarks, because it would be kind of weird if they just broadcast a tenant's lease info kind of on Zillow to the world. So there's certain discretionary things that might not be access to the public that a realtor would see, but by and large, 95% of the data you can see within seconds of when I can see it. And here's why that matters. And this is exceedingly important, because if we expect the old world, we expect the world of the book or the world of the early MLS, then we are going to miss the biggest value that an agent can deliver. And here's what I mean. So day to day, what a skilled agent does is they consult, they guide, they network, not just to prospect for new buyers and sellers, but primarily to find better vendors who can serve the buyers and sellers. And we learn our craft. And you don't primarily learn your craft by networking with buyers and sellers. You primarily learn it with repetitions. Every inspection I see, every house I renovate, every closing I go to, every loan process that I troubleshoot because it's gone off the rails, I get better as an agent. And you want me to be as good as possible as an agent, not so I can send you an email with a listing that you could have seen on Zillow or Trulia or Redfin. You don't want an agent, you don't want your agent to be at the computer every hour of the day, sending you everything as soon as it hits the market. It's inefficient. And if they were, I would argue they would never, by any stretch of the imagination, be able to develop the skills to guide you well as an agent. What you want your agent to be doing is to be out there running hard, growing a company, growing skills, learning the craft, so that when they're working for you, you get the best agent you can possibly get. And if an agent was content to sit at that computer or to be eternally a slave to their phone day and night, watching for something to pop up, or maybe they're not, it doesn't pop up. Maybe they're literally on the MLS constantly so that they see the listing that matches your criteria. They can do that for a year, and then it will eat their soul, and then they'll die. Maybe not physically, but there will be a shell of a person who has no life because the expectations we put on them are they're not reasonable, and they're not good. Because here's what you should do. Hop on Zillow or Redfin or any of the others, but Zillow and Redfin, just to be fully frank with you, they have spent tens of millions, perhaps even hundreds of millions of dollars on their user experience and their user interface, because they want to sell your data to an agent, a lender, a moving company, someone. That's why they're doing it. They want to sell Zillow. Their big thing is they want to sell your lead to an agent, and they want agents to pay thousands of dollars a month so that they'll tell you that agent's really something. They're not. They just paid Zillow to say that. Just full disclosure. But the tens of millions of dollars that these companies spend on their website is always going to beat what I'm going to spend. And so it's completely irrelevant and completely fruitless for me to have a website that we put a bunch of money into when you're going to have a better time on Redfin anyways. You're going to enjoy Zillow better anyways. Just know that what you see about agents, what you see about lenders, what you see about inspectors on those, they're paid promotionals. It's not merit-based. But as far as the search engine and the ease of search and the ability to save searches, you should absolutely hop onto one of these amazing search engines, like real estate search engines, save your criteria, and then have it automatically email you. You can have it pop up on your computer, your iPhone, or your iPads, or the Android equivalent of all those. You can have an email come to you the second that something's listed. You can have a little browser pop up. You can do anything you want. And those tools are like better than or equivalent to what I would set up for you. So it's completely unnecessary for me to get on and set you up for an MLS strip that is going to send you to a link on an MLS site when you'd rather be on Zillow anyways. So when it comes to me, what I do is consultation, guiding. What you want your agent to do is to be skilled, not at wielding the book, not at being a guardian of the data, but knowing how to read the book. When I look at comps in a neighborhood, like comparable sales, you want me to be able to figure out the right value of a property, regardless of if I've ever lived in it or if I ever intend to live in it. That's not an important factor. What is an important factor is your ability to know the craft and to learn and implement data and knowledge in a variety of different situations. And you don't get that by doing things that are better done otherwise. So, hope this has been useful. I hope that you understand a little bit deeper the nuance of the evolution of data sharing and data guardianship specifically within the listings of real estate. And by understanding this, you can really level up your search power, and especially if you're looking at real estate investing. But honestly, if you're looking at a home that is in the front half of the bell curve in your market, like so 50% or lower, you need to be on the ball. You need to see listings as soon as they come across. You need to be able to analyze the criteria that is important to you in a matter of minutes, and ideally from pictures on a website and a map. And so if you can cut an hour out of waiting for the agent to send it to you, and if you can say, hey, you know what? I don't need an agent that emails me every listing the second it's there. I need one who knows what they're doing. Then you'll be able to say, hey, agent, I saw this house. I'm pre-qualified. This checks all the boxes so far as I can see. So I'd like to take a deeper look. What would you advise? And you're going to get the best. So hope this is helpful. I want you to have the best because I think that you deserve the best. Part of having the best means doing the things that it takes to prepare ourselves to be excellent to work with so that we can work with the best. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.